I don't have any tooth. I'll admit it. I will brag. Those players did not just go and whip that ass for us to be like, oh, good game. No, we whipped your ass. We took $800,000. Now we're partying with it.
Yeah, who cares if you're in the Power 5 conference if you don't win it, ever? Or you don't beat any of the teams in it? Like, what's the point of that? Wouldn't you rather win the conference and say, like, hey, my team is good, than lose the conference and say, well, our conference is good?
Look, they don't call me Tip for nothing. And my tip is, look out for the group of 5 this season. They've been taking it to the Power 5 year after year.
The only quarterbacks that ever get any love are from the Power 5. I could easily list off the top group of 5 quarterbacks I would rather have than those guys. I would be willing to bet that at least one of them is going to be in the running for the Heisman this year.
Down the middle, James, the lateral to the corner of the end zone. Can you believe that?
What's up, everybody? Matt Sprouse here, group of 5 guys, here with Inside Drill. We got a special guest as we get closer to the Senior Bowl, we get closer to the NFL Draft. We've got former Middle Tennessee State Blue Raider defensive back, a guy that's a little younger than us, but we knew when we saw him that he kind of understood the process like we do, kind of understands, really likes some of the behind-the-scenes things like all of us do. Spent some time at Austin Peay, spent some time at Arkansas, current scouting associate for the Minnesota Vikings in the NFL, so he's about to ramp up his schedule. Alex Dale, welcome to Inside Drill with the group of 5 guys. Appreciate you coming on, my man.
Gentlemen, I appreciate you having me. Big fan of the show.
No question. Well, as we are recording this interview, it is Monday night, so I know, that was kind of what I feel like when I was sort of being a GA that last year. Dale and I were bonding over WWE. Favorite WWE wrestler of all time, Alex Dale, go.
Stone Cold, without question.
It's a good one.
Is that the same for all y'all? I know it is. I know it is.
Stone Cold.
Yeah.
No, I got a couple, but
You're old school, a little more.
He likes the
I
1980 wrestlers.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I grew up. That was like when it was like super big.
Ultimate
And my brothers, Warrior was good. I was always a big fan of Razor Ramon. I know he never won the title.
Razor Ramon.
One of the best intercontinental champions of all time, in my opinion. But Razor Ramon
inside,
fan. Shawn Michaels too.
Inside loop here, or inside info here. Remember they used to have the WWE Network back when we were like probably leaving college and everybody's paying the $10 now. You don't need that anymore. You just have to have YouTube. You go to YouTube and type in anything, you can watch old matches, documentaries, everything. And I watched an hour-long Mankind Undertaker reliving the match where, slammed him through hell, like, oh my God, he's dead. Watched it for an hour. Michaela was, are you coming to bed? I was like, no, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm still watching this Undertaker Mankind.
Dude, that's what solidified our group in college was that one WrestleMania. We went over to Jeff's, I think we went to Jesse's old house. And watched
with the John Cena and Dwayne the Rock.
I think so. And we watched Mania, and then we were like, man, this is still pretty cool. We started watching again, and then 2 years later, we're in San Francisco at Mania.
When The Rock returned, that's when we were like,
That's
okay,
awesome.
it's back.
That's right. Back. Yeah, because I feel like we were like, somebody's about to come out here. Somebody. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Dale, let me ask you this as a professional at your job. Give me a WWE star that could have played in the league.
Oh, as I'm looking now, the new like the Usos twin or cousin.
Yeah,
I don't know his name. I don't watch enough, but he'd be a hell of a interior D lineman.
You remember Brock Lesnar? That he actually played
for the Vikings.
For a little bit. I was a huge Lesnar guy, and I heard he was in the NFL. I was like, oh, the guy's going to be an All-Pro. Yeah. It's a little different sport. Yeah, he was getting pancaked.
Yeah,
he's too muscled up for that. He's way too.
What about a guy? What about a current NFL player that you'd like to see, and not besides Gronk, that you'd like to see? You'd like to see wrestle.
I hated that. I'm gonna go with D-line again. Aaron Donald.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Aaron Donald, Samoa Joe.
That would be sick.
Or Aaron Donald, Mark Henry.
I think you could do an Aaron Donald, Brock Lesnar. might be kind of tight because they're both NFL guys for a little bit, or Brock was, and both
guys,
just massive human beings.
Guys that go on to wrestle that either played professional football or especially a guy like Lesnar that fought for real. Like they always tell those stories about like somebody screws up in the match a little bit and they're getting them with some extra elbows and stuff. Aaron Donald, I think he'd kill Brock Lesnar. I don't know, dude.
Like Ryback. Is that the guy that everybody talks about? He always was hurting people in the ring.
Yeah.
Like CM Punk.
Punk, yeah,
was a damn idiot.
Yeah, Ryback's out of wrestling because he hurts people, and then he blamed all the companies.
Of course he did.
God. Well,
I like Ryback though.
You say you like Ryback?
I did at the time.
He had a good shtick for a little while.
I'm always a
months
fan
they
of
were trying to push him.
Yeah. Well, McMahon loves the like heavyweights. He loves the big, juiced up muscle guys. But
I just love his little like
big time.
Well, all right. Let's get down to what the people actually want to hear about. So we're going to be at the Senior Bowl here in a couple of weeks, or at the time of this episode releasing, probably it'll be this weekend. Walk us through your year leading up to the draft. I mean, there's thousands of players at all different levels of college football. So, everybody knows the top couple of guys. Where do you start? I mean, what's that look like?
Yeah, there's scouts that are like on the road doing stuff a year ahead, and so they kind of start the process early, and then it kind of there's like a meeting. It's called Blesto. There's a meeting at the Senior Bowl that's like the last day, and they're going over juniors or guys that might come out, and so the process kind of starts that way. It's just a revolving door of players, but the beginning of the year, you kind of get a list of those guys, and then some guys, when our scouts go into schools, they have a list of names they might have gotten from coaches, strength coaches, stuff like that. So it'll be divvied up, around the regions. So each scout has a certain region or area, and then kind of go from there, watch those guys in the summer. And then if they meet a certain requirement in the summer, then you go, to the next level in fall camp and during the season. And then once you get to the postseason and college ranks, it's kind of towards the end of NFL too. So you kind of start winding down and getting off the road, and start writing those reports and getting those lists ready for, to target in on certain guys.
So you would have a regional location. You're not scouting like position groups. Like you don't have one scout that's like looking at DBs only.
No, not initially, but there's a point where, you could, if certain people played certain positions, like I played DB, so I could, essentially watch these groups of corners or safeties, and then if somebody played quarterback, you kind of want the most knowledgeable people in that space, just talking ball. So, it kind of paired with positions sometimes when it gets closer, you have a list of narrowed down guys.
So speaking of positions, is it per team, like depending on what they kind of need, or are you constantly just recruiting the best of who you think the best is, and then the GM and those guys kind of narrow it down to what they need?
Yeah, I think case by team is different. Some teams might, depending on how they are set up already, they're probably kind of trying to draft for, backups or cheaper players, because some players might end up getting too expensive and you're losing them to free agency and stuff like that. So there's really no tier per se of players that we watch. We just, try to do our best and, comb every inch of the country trying to find good players.
Do you already have a sense of what players or what positions need to be filled for next year? Or you already have an idea of what your top three positions that you're kind of focusing in on?
Not as a group. I think everyone has their own separate ideas, and then a lot can change between now and the draft with combine and Senior Bowl and stuff like this. So everything's kind of moved. So
let's say you find some diamond in the rough from Akron, Ohio, that he's a safety. You pick him up, 6th round. The guy ends up being a star. Are you getting the credit for that?
I wouldn't say I would. I would take the credit in my head, but I think it'd be a group effort just to get to that point because there's so many steps that it was take. Somebody had to even identify that guy in the first place, and then more people had to stand on the table.
I would be sure everyone knew that I found that guy.
100%. You'd be calling that guy's agent like, hey, so in this signing bonus, like 10, 12%, somewhere in that range.
I'm sure there's been some under the table deals.
Yeah,
Gotta be.
Well, I mean, and you gotta, if you go and you're talking about a guy and you're telling coaches and GMs, oh, this guy's great, and then they take a chance and he sucks. I mean, that's
right.
That's your credibility too.
Never heard of that guy.
Yeah. How much?
That's a different name.
Yeah. You talked about like taking. Taking strength coach suggestions and coaches' suggestions. So, I mean, how much weight is put into that? If you're asking a strength coach, is that mostly, his physical attributes? Yeah, he's this strong. Yeah, he runs well. He bends well. And then you take that and then, he checks all those boxes. Now let's watch the film.
Yeah, I think it's, if a player checks all those boxes on the field, he's a good player. He does everything right on the field, and then you want to see how he is, away from coaches and from people that aren't, in the spotlight as much. How he treats, athletic trainers and stuff like that. So all that's always taken into account because that's who you'll have to deal with in this arena too. You still have to deal with athletic trainers and strength coaches, and if you're acting like a bad person with them, that's kind of indicative of who you might be in our team.
I think we all know the strength coach is probably the most honest coach when it comes to players.
Yeah, and kind of, I don't want to repeat the same question because I don't know if this is repeating it or not, but when it comes to who do you listen to the most, or which coach gives the most validation? Is it coming from the head coach or is it coming from the strength coach? Because I think when Sprouse asked that question, I started thinking, I was like, I wonder if the strength coach is more, because he's with the guys every day or pretty much every day with the summer throughout practice in the fall and the season. And then he also sees the work ethic these guys give in the off season and in the summertime. So as a guy that knows nothing about recruiting, I would assume the strength coach is probably y'all's go-to when it comes to finding out about a guy.
Yeah,
I think wrong.
It could go both ways. I think the strength coach spends a lot of time with, especially in college, spends a lot of time with those guys. So he could be truthful, but he may be truthful to a fault. He might have something against the kid. They might have odds. So you kind of you hope he has a good reputation ahead of him, and he's been truthful, head coach or strength coach. So you're kind of hoping that they're just truthful in the process, and you go off their word.
So with the landscape of college football right now, with the transfer portal and the NIL stuff, has that changed your guys' process or the way you look at kids, or if a kid has transferred 4 times in 4 years or whatever, like whatever's going on, like does that weigh in at all to anything as far as scouting goes?
It's talked about if it's a concern, or if it's if there's something alarming about his character. But if it's some family issue or something like that, you really just do your homework on why the stuff happened and then go off of that.
That's a good point, Jeff. You transferred 3 times. Now you got like three strength coaches you can talk to, and 3 head coaches and 3 training staff.
Well, and the first 2 might have bad stuff to say.
And
by the time he was a senior, he was great.
Yeah.
Like high school is kind of, now that people can get paid in college, kind of per se. I don't know the actual terms now, but it's kind of, you gotta do your homework on kids in high school, because if you're gonna give them money to come to your school, you got to make sure they're the right person to represent them.
Oh, you sparked another one for me. Let's just say Jesse Grisham, 2013. I'm gonna go to the league. I'm a star, Alex. I'm a star. Do the recruiters for NFL would they go to Spain Park High School and check out my history in high school also?
Yeah, I don't know much of that personally, but I've seen high school notes in there, and it might come from college, or maybe if the high school and college are local, you can kind of do that. But I would assume if you really have like a question about somebody's character and it dates all the way back to high school, that might be where that will come into play.
Along those same lines, Dale, what about bowl games and sitting out versus playing in bowl games? I know if you got the guy that's a for sure top 5 pick, who cares? But what about a guy that's, we're a group of 5 guys. It's a group of 5 player that is maybe a second or third day pick. I mean, do you even care?
I don't think it really would weigh in too much. I mean, as long as if the player is good at the end of the day, then you don't even remember that he sat out in the bowl game.
I feel like maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel like you may look at it if it was that combined with a number of other things, then it might, a guy transferred 3 times, sat out of a bowl game, transferred, didn't do spring ball, transferred, didn't do mat drills. Yeah, then you might have a potential red flag character issue.
Yeah, he has to be like if Booby Miles did all that, like Booby Miles could get away with that, but Joe Schmo couldn't.
That's right.
God,
Joe Schmo's doing that. Who cares? But Booby Miles is gonna make you $1 million. So
I'm just curious in the scouting process. Do you have any scouting stories, good stories, without taking names out of it, where you had some type of
draft day?
No, yeah, you know exactly where I was going with that. Like read this playbook, hide $100 bill in it, see if anybody did not read the playbook, or what would they do to Jamarcus Russell? Like they gave the guy
him blank tapes, yeah.
Ask him if he watched,
yeah. Like does that still go on today? And maybe you can answer that.
I've heard those stories, but that didn't happen in my experience last year. Teams bring guys on. They have like official visits in the NFL as well, like right before the draft. Just so you can get around guys.
I don't get that. I've never understood that. Why do they have official visits? Because they don't like they have a say where they go, or maybe I'm completely wrong. But why do they have if you got the 3rd pick, if I have the 3rd pick in the draft, why am I bringing Bryce Young to see my facility when I know he's going to go to the very first pick to or who's got the first pick this year?
Bears right now.
Bears. Wait, what I'm saying, I never understood that. Why you have an official visit, like you're recruiting the kid to come to you when you don't have a say. You draft him, he's coming.
Right. Like I said, last year was my first year. I didn't even know it existed until I heard about them when they were coming up. So I was like, oh, I didn't know if this even happened.
I've seen it. I've seen people talk about getting their visits to see these NFL facilities. I'm like,
the only thing that I can think of,
see if they're a cultural fit.
I don't know.
If they're like a cultural fit, how they treat the equipment guy, how they treat I don't know.
So you think like the organization's evaluating him as he's coming to visit?
That's what I would think, because you get into a situation possibly like where Eli Manning was going to get drafted and like he didn't want to go, and I don't know if he took a visit there or not, but I mean, you might see a guy come in and then just look at his reaction and see how he reacts to the facilities, to the people. I mean, you can get a pretty good read on somebody for the most part when you see the reactions to stuff. And like, if you're like, well, he doesn't really seem like he wants to be here, well, I'm not going to take him in the second pick or whatever.
That's a good point too. I think you just said it, Jesse, that, I mean, now, especially quarterbacks and all positions really, they get on their rookie deal. Even if you draft them and they play through their rookie deal, you might get a gauge. Well, they're not gonna stay if they're any good. And then do you want to waste top 3 pick? I wouldn't say waste, but on a guy if you think he's only going to be there for a couple of years. What about okay, so let's say you're the Vikings. I don't know where the Vikings are at in this year's draft, but do you even look at? Let's say you needed a quarterback, but you don't have the first pick. Like, do you even look at Bryce Young, for example, if we're not trading up, we're not going to get the guy? Do we even watch this guy's film? Or
yeah, I think every team probably would. You just got to do your homework, and who knows what could happen. he could have gotten something could happen where he just happens to fall on draft day for some reason, or somebody does, so you just got to be prepared for any situation.
Alex, isn't it true that you firmly believe that Group of 5 quarterbacks are better than Power 5 quarterbacks?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I played with the best Group of 5 quarterback in a long time.
Amen.
You did.
And was the best, and I'll go on record in saying he was the best quarterback in the state during that time.
Ooh.
Boom. That's going to be clipped.
Hold on now. Let's go through the state right there, though. So what year are we talking?
He's probably talking about 2000,
every year,
2015. He's talking Brent Stockton, I believe.
Yeah, well,
Brent.
15 to
So who's
15
that?
to 18.
The only one I could think of is somebody might have been at Memphis. Who is at
Paxton
Memphis?
Lynch.
He's older.
I
than
remember
that.
clear as day, Sprouse.
we beat
were
Paxton
saying this
Lynch
as
before we
well.
lost
that Brent
to-
was
Yeah, I'm
the
sure
best
we were.
quarterback.
Yeah. Anyway,
Who was Tennessee's quarterback at the time? Dobbs?
Was it
He's still in
Dobbs?
the league. he's still playing in the NFL.
Yeah, he did. He did real well the other night, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dale,
No, Brent Stockton
A lot of
was
Blue
smart.
Raiders playing this past weekend.
What
say
was that?
what now?
So there's a lot of Blue Raiders playing this
There
past
was.
weekend.
Blue Raiders are tied for like 5th, maybe, of most active players in the play, like remaining in the playoffs.
I thought Ward had a huge play against the Cowboys, but he made
Yeah,
Schultz go backwards and go out of bounds. And it had the clock keep running.
I tell you, he had a hell of a year. Our boy Richie James, man, he had a strong second half of the season.
Yeah, he tore us up pretty well. I saw him the first game when we played him, but then he was running onto the field, so I just hollered at him, and we kind of kept our distance the second time.
I mean, Middle Tennessee State's just a prime example. It's just like you would, I as a Group of 5 guy, you wouldn't think it, but we got some studs out there in the NFL, and I'm sure that's something you can bring to the table. You bring that to the Minnesota table, you're like, hey, there's some Group of 5 guys out there that are going to make some impacts in the future, NFL future, and I'm sure that's what you're looking at.
Yeah,
Reed Cunningham this week. I mean, yes.
Blankenship.
Blankenship. Reed Blankenship this upcoming weekend for the Eagles. He's been balling out this year.
Yep. Darius Harris played with me. He already got a ring with the Chiefs, and they're looking pretty good right now. So somebody from Middle's getting a ring this year.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool, man.
Does that weigh in as far as your scouting goes, whether they're coming from a Group of 5 school or coming from a Power 5? Does that have any factor, or is it tape doesn't lie? You can see this guy play regardless of what schedule they're playing or who they're playing.
Yeah, I think it's a little both because you're always, gauging the level of competition and gauging it as high as possible because that's what the highest level of competition is the NFL. So I think you gotta, just trust your eye, but know that there's talent there.
What about, we're talking about Middle, a guy like Kevin Byard comes out and obviously having a fantastic career. Does that help Reed Blankenship get picked up at all? Just, the comparison of that. And then, I mean, DBs out of Middle has been the position group for sure as of late. So you get a guy that performs.
I don't know what I did.
Yeah. You're in there. You're still in the building, Dale. Yeah,
that's
you're
right.
in the building.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think it does a little bit, especially there's starting to be like a pedigree there, and we got some undrafted. A lot of our guys are undrafted free agents, and they're playing on these championship level teams. So there's definitely going to be like big value in that because they might we might not have people that get drafted, but they're going to be able to fill the back end of the roster, possibly have big moments like Reed has this year.
So you were talking about measuring, against the highest level of competition. So how important is these all-star games like the Senior Bowl? Like you got a Group of 5 guy or, at the Senior Bowl, they got a quarterback this year. I think that's a D3 guy. And there's always a lineman that's a real small school guy that shows up. So is it like you got your eye on them and then, well, let's see how they do because I looked at and I know we all looked at the rosters, and I think it's the American front 7 on defense is like 5 Bama, 2 LSU, Auburn, and a Georgia. And so
American's pretty stacked.
It is going against your top 3 or 4 SEC, front 7. So Is it like that? You're like, well, let's see what happens, and then if they perform, then it's a lock or what?
Yeah, there's a couple of days of practice, and hope they progress each day. If they have a bad day, get better from the next day, or if they have a good day, at least maintain that, or have another even better day. Even small school guys or big school guys, because the big school guys are already going to get kind of different treatment because they play at a higher level and all that stuff. So they might get the benefit of the doubt. So it kind of works both ways.
What I just got to ask this because it just popped in my head. What about the Mel Kiper and Todd McShays of the world? Do you even? Well, let me ask you this, because they do a lot of this. I mean, did they do some of the pre-work almost for you? I mean, is that, or are they just completely disregarded because they're on TV? I mean, these guys got mock drafts for like the next 3 years out.
Yeah, I personally don't even. I haven't seen.
Good for you,
McShay or.
It'd been funnier if you said, "I don't know
Mel
Mel Kiper is."
I haven't seen him like I used.
Well, that's what when Mel Kiper first got famous, that's what it was. The Colts owner was like, "Who the hell's Mel Kiper anyway?" Next thing you know, the guy's getting a ton of money, literally, to work for like 1 month out of the year on the NFL draft. But
Dot.
gotta love Kiper. Well, so I mean, that's all I got for you, Dale. I don't know. Y'all got any other questions?
Yeah, I got two questions. My first question is, are you going to be at the Senior Bowl?
No, not this year. I got left out.
All right, and then
we'll have a squad down there though.
I gotcha.
I had a good time in the field last year.
There you go. And then second question that I have. So, I don't know if you maybe done this as like a practice or something, but if you're scouting this guy right here, I don't know if you can see it. Pulled this off my fridge.
Put it down a little bit.
I got that on my fridge.
There you go. If you're scouting that guy right there, what's the scouting report on old 22 coming out of Middle Tennessee State?
Oh man, that 22. Let's see. The year I started, I thought I was pretty decent. I wasn't fast. I wasn't slow though, but I wasn't the fastest guy. That's why I was in the boundary. Kind of stiff hips, I was kind of tight, not very flexible, but I was a good tackler. I'll give myself that. Definitely a good tackler. I definitely have been an undrafted guy, but I think I could have bounced around on some practice squads, maybe, and played some teams. I'm pretty realistic with myself. I ain't gonna be out there.
Not one of those guys that's.
I think
everybody else.
No. I like it.
No, after that Missouri game, I already hung it up.
I gotcha.
Here's one for you. So what's for you or for somebody that gets into scouting? So what's the progression like? Is GM the end goal, or what are you working towards?
Yeah, that's kind of the goal. Kind of you've played GM all your life playing Madden, but you never realize it. So that's kind of always been what I. You have your own philosophy and your own staff, and just trying to win a Super Bowl, man. That's all I want to do.
If I wanted to restart my career, Alex, what do I need to do here? Do I need to see you go to Rick Stockstill and see if I can just
get into
recruiting with him, be a GA, and then start working my way back up? I just now realized I want to be a general manager. That's what I want to do.
I hope you'd manage your real team a whole lot better than your fantasy football team.
What are you talking about?
I had the number one.
I won the league this year. Oh, I won the league. Won the league, Alex.
I don't know about that.
It's not going to be.
You want to bring this up? You want to bring this up?
No, we don't. We don't.
Well, I won my league a couple years ago.
Our fantasy football.
Well, anyway, sad we didn't get the Viking. I mean, the Vikings, y'all are going to bounce back, I think. I mean, get it. Where are you picking in the draft?
We had a good 23rd, maybe. I don't know off the top of my head.
I'll let you know. I'll take some videos down there.
But we had a solid year.
They were good.
Yeah, you got a good team. You got
You ran the same play every freaking play. It was Kirk Cousins to find Justin Jefferson. I mean, that's the guy. That's all you have to do. The guy's a freak.
Why would you go anywhere different?
yeah.
Throw with the 18.
Be all right.
He gave us a lot of chances this year.
Yeah. Well, Dale, man, we appreciate you coming on.
Whoa.
Guys, this is Minnesota Vikings
private.
scout, a pro, best in the business. I think you're going to be a GM. Take your talents down there to South Beach. For the love of God, start looking at some offense. Whoever they got in their scouting department, they're not even looking at O-linemen. I mean, I think they're just they hadn't had an O-lineman since Jake Long circa 2007.
Love some Jake Long back in the day.
He's got Pro Bowler.
And in football, you know, but you've got on your resume, you know, with you being scouting, if football doesn't work out, just go to the WWE and start scouting for wrestlers. That would be a fun job as well.
It would be a fun job because now they're scouting with NIL.
know they have
They're
NIL
scouting.
deals?
Yes, they're scouting college football players.
Yeah.
What?
God, we missed. We
There's guys.
we
that
were
have
born
deals
about 10 years
right
too
out of
early,
college.
Jess.
Yeah,
I
we
tell
did,
you,
yeah.
God.
Could you imagine tag team? It'd be us three versus the Shield. Sierra Hotel.
I would love nothing more than the Dudleys to put me through a table. Like that's all I wanted as a kid. Like just tell me through a table.
Oh man,
That'd be pretty good.
no, but that's all we got for you guys tonight. Before we end the show, you guys make sure you hit like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Follow us on all the social media platforms at Group of Five Guys. You follow Dale at Vikings. I'm pretty sure is what that is. Hashtag Skull, and you can find all of his stuff. Dale, appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate it, Dale.
All right, Dale. See you, buddy.
Appreciate you guys, man.